I think energy level, maintaining the energy level that's required, and maybe not being quite as close to the students as I'd like to be on a regular basis. I still have, this is the first semester, last semester, that I didn't teach in 25 years. And that's difficult for me.
I wondered if you missed that.
Oh, clearly. And anytime somebody invites me to a class, or I meet with the student government, I guess it's the first Tuesday of every month, and I find ways, but it's just not the same, you know, as having your own class where you watch them develop and change, and you know, I want to stay very closely attuned to that, because that's why I got in the business to begin with. That's what kept me in the business, and so, you know, never forget those roots, because then you become detached from what's really important.
And in a way, you're watching Centenary grow and develop, just as you did the students that you have. And with that thought, how do you envision Centenary in 10 years, let's say? What's your picture?
That old vision question, right? Yes. Well, I asked the social work students if I could borrow this phrase, because when I heard it, I was just sort of blown away. When we recently had the accreditation for their group, the people from the Council on Social Work came to do that. They really modeled what social workers do, especially in terms of the way they conducted themselves in the accreditation process. And I found that admirable, and probably one of the best accreditation experiences I've ever been through in that sense. And in the exit interview, they decided that there were a few anecdotal things we needed to know with regard to what our students had said about us. And they said that one of the students said that they thought that Centenary had the potential to be a beacon for the region.
What a phrase.
What a phrase. And I thought, well, if we've now become a household word in the state, the next step is truly beacon for the region. And I think with the proper positioning and analysis and telling each other enough of the truth, that we can get there.
Thinking about beacon for the region, the world we live in is changing so rapidly that it's almost impossible to maintain your foothold. If you think about digitizing, which has changed everything we do and how we do it. The economy has everybody's head spinning. And in addition to all of that, the move toward globalization, which has been a move that's been with us for some 30 years, everything has changed. What do you think is the biggest challenge for Centenary or any college and university in facing the challenge of change?
Well, it's constant now, and that becomes difficult to absorb. And I think higher education in the past has been resistant to change, maybe a little bit more than other places. And I think perhaps for some good reasons. You know, when you say resistant to change, that has sort of a negative connotation, but you know, change for change's sake is nothing special. But the ability to stay flexible and the ability to compete, which I don't think is the way, at least I didn't. It's not the way I was trained to think. I don't think it's the way I was socialized to think in higher education. When I was in business, yes. But I think that that's become a bigger part of our world. I think the for-profits have become a force to be reckoned with in higher education. Of course, in my lexicon, for-profit and education don't go together, because your mission is to make a profit, not to change lives via education. Nonetheless, that's a reality that we have to deal with, and student as consumer is becoming a much more popular concept. So I think the competition aspect of higher education is here, whether we like it or not. In terms of integrating the global community, I think those same kind of things that make the competition so possible make the integration of the globalization easier, because we can be on Skype, we can have partnerships in online kinds of experiences, and I'm happy to say that many more of our students do study abroad now than did 10 years ago, and I think that's important. So lots of opportunities. Even with internships now, we're starting to see some global opportunities. And part of our job, I think, especially with the traditional students, is to kind of talk them into needing and wanting that experience. And understanding that they need to expand their world.